Hello everyone, this is Remlaz from 40k Theories, and welcome to the May 2025 edition of the Patreon Q&A sessions. As always, if you would like your questions answered, then click the link in the video description below and help support the channel by becoming a patron. Now, let's jump into the questions. Austin Horner asks, given how it can be seemingly triggered by enough psychic power being focused on the son of Sanguinius, and the Black Rage itself being the psychic death scream of Sanguinius, would it be possible to mitigate or nullify the risk of specifically falling to the Rage by the use of blanks during scenarios where a high risk is present, i.e. having some Sisters of Silence assisting when facing off against Kabanda? In theory, yes, I suppose it could work, but I don't know how many Sisters would be needed for their collective nullification aura to mitigate the Black Rage, considering that it is said to be ingrained within their very DNA, despite being a psychic death scream. So it could work, but you might need a lot of Null Maidens for it to work properly. Brandon A asks, if a Sister of Battle wanted to have children, how would the rest of us Sisters react? There is no rule about them finding partners. Honestly, I think it would depend on both the order in question and the individual, because some orders might turn around and say, yes, go forth and multiply, it's what the Emperor wants, whereas others might say, no, you have to stay and fight, you can have babies when you retire, that kind of thing. So I think it would depend on both the order and the individuals in question. How often does the Mechanicus, Ecclesiarchy, and Administratum butt heads? As far as I'm aware, all the fucking time. Could a fully intact Catan, non-shattered and at full power, take on and defeat a Chaos God? Absolutely not, because the main weakness for the Catan is warp energy. They can shrug off blows from bolters, missile launchers, even a concentrated orbital bombardment. But when it comes to warp-based weaponry, like a Demon Blade, they are very susceptible. And considering that the Chaos Gods are themselves made of warp energy, yeah, it's not going to go down well for the Catan, is it? So, yeah. Sigma Knight asks, how are you able to do research on the demon Be'lakor and survive? Because I have a copy of the Liber Chaotica, to be honest. If you were one of the lost Primarchs, which Primarch would be your closest ally, and would you join Horus or the Emperor? Well, Comrade Kurz is my favourite Primarch, so I'd be his best friend, Kurz and I were best friends forevermore, that kind of thing. And as for who I'd join, I'd throw a spanner in the works. I'd be the Black Shield Primarch. I'd be basically the Primarch of the Black Shields. So yeah, throw a spanner in the works, not fighting for anyone but myself. Just for shits and giggles. Could Guilliman disband or reform the Inquisition? And if so, why doesn't he? Disband it? In theory, yes, because he is the Imperial Regent, and the Inquisition does answer to whoever's ruling the Imperium, so in theory he could disband it. As for reforming it, that's a lot more difficult because the Inquisition doesn't have a centralized hierarchy like the other Imperial organizations, so that would be a lot more difficult, if not impossible to do. And finally, Dragon of Elder asks, does 40k have a warhammer like Fantasy/AOS has Galmaraz? Not to my knowledge, no. Which Fantasy/AOS faction would be the Tau's equivalent? Well, I suppose the joke answer would be Grand Cathay, but in all seriousness, they don't really have one. There are some armies in both settings that don't actually have a clear-cut equivalent. Because, humans are humans, orcs are orcs, elves are Eldari, squats are dwarves, ogrins are ogres, tomb kings are necrons. That's the biggest stretch, but it's one that actually works, so we can go with that. As far as things like, the Tau Empire, Nids, Skaven, Thymia, all those things, they're more or less unique to their own respective universes, so they don't really have an equivalent, to be honest. Do you think that Abaddon's Dark Imperium will go anywhere story-wise? Maybe, but we probably won't find out until 12th edition, to be honest. And that concludes this edition of the Patreon Q&A sessions. As always, if you would like your questions answered, then click the link in the video description below and help support the channel by becoming a patron. Until next time, this has been Remlaz from 40k Theories, and we'll see you again soon. Bye bye!